All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us today for APSIA's webinar on the best practices in applying to graduate school mid-career programs edition. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us at whatever time zone you're in. We're more than excited to get to talk to you about the programs that some of our schools offer, as well as answer any questions you may have. My name is Brianna Suarez, and I'm the International Missions and Operations the Association of Professional Schools of International Affairs, otherwise known as APSIA. We are joined today by two of my esteemed colleagues from Johns Hopkins University SICE, as well as Syracuse Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Policy. Just a little background on how the webinar will work today. We're going to each do a presentation about 15 minutes each. I will go over a little bit about how do you decide which programs may be the right fit for you, why you would be considering graduate school for a mid-career program, applications, and so forth. And then our colleagues will do a presentation on their programs, and then we will open it up to questions. If you have questions in the meantime, please feel free to put them in the chat box, and we will address them at the end for the Q&A portion. Just a little background on APSIA prior to beginning the presentation. APSIA, which is again the Association of Professional Schools of International Affairs, is a consortium of the leading graduate schools that specialize in international affairs and public policy worldwide. Currently, we have 68 members that are not just within the United States, but outside as well. So for students, prospective students that are interested in master's, mid-careers, and PhD programs, you can do so at an APSIA school outside of the US. We bring together all of those leading graduate schools and work in two ways: work internally to make them better, sharing best practices, having meetings, all of those things, as well as working with prospective students like yourselves that may be considering graduate school, help you find the resources on how to apply, connect you with the schools that are the best fit for you all, as well as with employers, that are interested in hiring our graduates. But with that, I'm going to start my side of the presentation, and then I will shift gears to our colleagues, and they will introduce themselves. And again, feel free to add any questions you may have in the chat box. All right, so one of the questions you may all be asking yourselves is, why would you be considering graduate school in a mid-career position? And there are many reasons prospective students look to move back into graduate school. The first is just a change in salary. There may be some positions that at the point in your career are only accessible with a higher ed degree. There's the reason of mastering a subject. You may be wanting to build out a new skill set that you could utilize for a position or for the current position you have at your current employment. There's the career advancement. Again, many prospective students look to move up in their positions. For example, at the State Department, you, with an extra degree, for example, a mid-career degree, your GS level increases. So, and there's also the professional focus. Again, building out a new skill set, being able to get into a new position that you otherwise would not be qualified for, or whatever that may be. These are usually the reasons students are looking to move into a mid-career program, but again, that is a personal decision that you may be making, and we're more than happy to continue to answer questions as to why mid-career degree is the right fit for you. When you're preparing to apply for a graduate degree, we say that you should start looking at the programs at least 12 months out, because there are many programs. Many of our APSIA schools have mid-career programs, and they are all very different, even though they may have the same subject area of international affairs and public policy. So this is where you should be starting your research, creating a spreadsheet to track any deadlines you may have, because they come up fairly quickly. Understanding your financial situation, again, understanding if you have debt, if you're paying a mortgage, all of those things, so that you know what financial aid packages you're looking for, and as well as investigating financial aid options during this time. So we say this, for example, if you're looking for admissions for a 2021 program, you should be starting your search now in 2020. And here are a couple of questions that we recommend you ask yourself about what program you're looking for and which program may be the right fit for you. So the first is, what will you study? And this is talking about the academic structure of the program. Many mid-career programs are 1 year, so you want to look at how that is spaced out. Will you be taking summer classes? Are all of the classes in the daytime? How does your work schedule fit into this? And so forth. So you want to look to find the program that best fits where you're at this point and how you best study. Is it a little bit more flexible? Is it a little rigid where you fill certain criteria and so forth? Again, looking into the academic structure will help you narrow down some of the mid-career programs you're considering. The second is, are you qualified? And this is talking about the admissions criteria. We will talk a little bit more about that when our colleagues present on their programs, on their specific admissions criteria. But when you're looking at the admissions criteria in general, this is looking at who was admitted, the numbers of, your GRE, if they're requiring that, all of those things, where you would fit in the admissions criteria currently. This is not to say that if you don't have a certain number, for example, certain GRE score, that you won't be admitted, but this is just to give you an idea of where you would fall on that spectrum at the time of applications. Do you like being there is usually one of the questions we ask, but for mid-career programs, many of our schools offer the flexibility of having it coupled with online classes. So this is not necessarily always applicable to students looking for a mid-career program, but nevertheless, if you are looking to move to another area to undertake graduate school studies, is something you should consider if you enjoy being at that school. This is also should be a question considering the environment of the school itself. Do you like the environment that it has, if that makes any sense? You want to look into the professors, kind of see what we call it the personality of the school is. And this is where you should attend any open houses or speak with admissions representatives so that you understand a little bit more of what that school's personality is, so that you can understand and see yourself there. The fourth question is, can you afford it? And this is, again, talking about the financial situation, understanding that that big ticket number that you get at the beginning is not always the full picture. You may be paying for books. You may be paying for transportation if you're going to in-person classes. There are a lot of things that come into the financial situation. So you really want to have a good understanding prior to applying so that you also know what financial aid packages you may be looking for. And then lastly, what comes next? The professional fit. This is especially important for a mid-career program because they want to see how this degree specifically fits into your current career. Whether you're pivoting into the field or whether you're just adding another skill set for yourself, admissions committee want to see, how this mid-career program is going to advance you in the next steps of your career. So this is going to be a recurrent topic, and we will come back to it several times, but make sure that you're asking yourself what comes next after this degree. So when you're preparing to apply, make sure that you're reaching out to admissions counselors because they are there to help you. They're there to answer your questions once you've done some research. One of the things we say is that you should ask them what the priorities of the admissions committee is. Many of our schools have open houses, now have virtual info sessions where you can ask specific questions about the program. Again, this is where we really encourage you to attend these events so that you understand what would it be like to be a student at the school and in the program. You should finalize your list of desired programs as you move along through the applications, as well as identify any weaknesses you may have in your applications. This may be a lower GRE score than anticipated. This may be a personal statement that isn't as great as you hoped it would be. You want to identify any weaknesses as you go through so that you can make your application as strong as possible. Taking any standardized tests that may be required from the school, as well as beginning to gather materials for the school, as well as applying to any outside scholarships. And this is generally what a mid-career program application looks like. We can't stress enough how much all schools will vary, and we will see so in the following presentations, but this is generally what the completed application, will look like. An application form and an application fee. Please take note that some schools do offer application fee waivers for certain things. For example, if you are returning Peace Corps volunteers, if you are a active military, look into that because it saves you a bit of money. A CV or a resume. Official transcripts from your past institutions that you've attended is important, as well as your standardized test scores, GRE, GMAT if they require it, a personal statement and or topical essays, 2 to 3 letters of recommendation, and bank statements if you are applying to financial aid. One question we often get about recommendations, especially for mid-career programs, is because schools often will want to look at one recommendation from a professor, does it count against you if you're unable to get a recommendation from a professor? Due to the fact you're applying to a mid-career degree, usually it is acceptable to provide those from a supervisor or someone above you, just because of where you are in your career at this moment. So it's understandable. It's always preferred if it's possible to get one from a professor, just to understand how you've done academically in the past and get another perspective. But again, when you're applying to a mid-career program, it is most often than not, you're going to be providing recommendations from supervisors that you've had in the past, and that is okay. And I know I'm going fairly quickly through this, but feel free to put any questions in the chat box and we will answer them as best we can at the Q&A portion. And so when you're writing an essay and personal statement for these schools and these programs, these are kind of the 3 things you should be talking about in your statement of purpose. The first is where you outline your qualifications, your work and volunteer experiences, life experiences, coursework, projects, languages. This is going to be fairly important because the schools want to see what has led you to this point of applying to graduate school. What about your career? What have you done in your career, in your professional career, that has led you to this point, that has led you to, let's say, the plateau that you're in and that you're now looking to build out more of the skills and things that would get you to the next step in your career. Once you outline your qualifications, and you don't have to spend a super ton of time on this as they will have your resume and transcripts on hand, you can then convey your passion. And this is where you talk about where are you now at this moment. What do you want to study? And why does this specific topic excite you? And what motivates you to go to graduate school now? Instead of when you graduated with an undergraduate degree or another master's, what is it about right now in your current professional career that is leading you to this mid-career program? What is it about these skill sets that you're looking to build out that makes it the right time right now for you? And then lastly, this is where you are explaining your goals. Where are you headed? Again, the professional fit. You may be staying at the job that you currently are in and therefore are looking for, again, additional skill sets that will make your job a lot easier, more efficient. Or you may be looking to transition into a new position. Either way, you want to explain what it is that your professional goals are after you've graduated with this specific degree. Why this school, why this specific program, and what will you do with the degree once you have it? Again, if you hit all 3, outlining your qualifications, which is where you're talking to the where have you been portion, conveying your passion, where you speak to the where are you now at this moment, and the explaining your goals as to where you headed is important and will make your personal statement stand out. And I know I've moved fairly quickly with the timeline, but the 1-month mark, you really should be finalizing all applications for admission. Many students often ask how many schools they should be applying to, and the honest answer is however many you can create a good application for and you feel are the right fit for you. Should be finalizing any applications for scholarships and financial aid, checking in with recommenders to make sure that they haven't forgotten to write you this recommendation and that they know where to send the recommendation and what the deadlines are, updating your financial plan so you understand again where you are at this point prior to application, and then submitting any requested materials. The 1-month mark does allude to 1 month prior to the application deadline. We really stress you should be applying even before the deadline and not wait to the day of, because many things can go wrong. And this is actually a good transition into the application mistakes many students, prospective students, make when applying to a mid-career program or any degree program, really. The first is failing to follow instructions. So this is why we say you should start early, because there may be many applications that you have to do certain things for, and you want to submit all of the requested information in a timely manner. You want to provide nothing more and nothing less, because otherwise your application may be incomplete and may take you out of the running for the program. You want to make sure you're requesting transcripts early enough and recommendations early enough as well, just in case. The second mistake, is making foolish mistakes. You want to make sure you're reading your essays and statements several times and ask a second party to review them as well. You may be applying to schools that have similar titles, such as the George Washington University and Georgetown University and Georgia Tech University. You want to make sure you're sending the correct essay to the correct school, and again, present yourself in the most professional light as you can during the application process. And you also want to make sure you're avoiding the third mistake of not conducting an honest self-assessment of your skills, experiences, and interests. You want to really make sure that you're discerning what it is you want to master during this mid-career program, as well as disclosing any issues straightforwardly that you may have. If you have no idea how to do so in a professional manner, feel free to ask an admissions counselor. They've probably encountered this before, and so are better able to answer that question. You want to avoid oversharing or apologize, and make sure that you've shared how you've grown. After the deadline, you're confirming that all of the materials for admissions and scholarships have been received, thanking all recommenders, updating your financial plan, and continuing to learn about programs, because, again, hopefully you've been admitted to all of the programs you were interested in and now have to discern which is the correct program for you and which one you want to head to. So you want to continue to learn about the new things that they may be able to provide you. And so make sure you're staying connected with those schools you've applied at. And our colleagues, both from SAIS and from Syracuse, may better be able to answer, again, what they're looking for. But this is generally what schools look for in a mid-career candidate. The first two are fairly straightforward: the aptitude for study and chance of success in the program. This is why they ask for past transcripts, for your resume, for the personal statement, again, to see what you've done in the past and how you would succeed in a school setting, right? You're coming back to school after a certain amount of years in your careers, and so they want to see how you would thrive in this setting once more. The third is experiences and perspectives that will help others succeed. This is why they want to read your essays and statements, to see what it is you've done in your career up to this point that may help a student that hasn't come from that professional background, that hasn't been able to work in that field, and you're still interested in the same subject. And a clear sense of professional direction. Again, what will you do with this degree once you've left the school? What position are you looking to advance to in your current employment? What other career are you looking forward to pivoting? These are very important for them to see. And I'm gonna go again fairly quickly on this. We often get the question of how do you pay for school, because it is expensive, and we don't want to ever say that it's and gloss over that. But there are many ways to paying for a mid-career program, and one that actually isn't even on here, but we will go over it quickly. The first is merit and need-based aid. Please know the difference. Some schools offer both, some schools only offer one, and some schools may offer neither. There are research and teaching assistant positions, assistance provided by the Central University of Programs within the school, because you will be applying to a school within the school most often than not, and external sources of funding. Grants and loans, know the difference. One, you have to pay back. Two, you don't. The second, you don't. And scholarships. Many employers, also offer tuition remission for their employees that are looking to further their studies. So look into that. See whether your employer is able to offset the cost of your degree. Again, most employers tend to do this because you're now, once you've completed your degree, you're bringing a new skill set to the position that is better able to advance both the goals of yourself and the goals of your employer. But for scholarships, there are many scholarships out there. It's more about doing the research. For example, the Pickering, Rangel, and Payne, which many students that work in the State Department are fairly aware of. There are scholarships based on things you've done in the past. If you've been a returning Peace Corps volunteer, there are scholarships based on your citizenship and nationality. There are scholarships based if you are underrepresented in a certain field. Again, there are many scholarships. The trouble is just doing the research. And I know my presentation went fairly quickly, but I'm more eager to hear from our colleagues. And so I want to introduce Martina Lentz from Johns Hopkins University. I will throw it to you first, Martina, and take it away. Martina, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Right. Sorry for the slow start there, folks. Thank you for the introduction, Brianna, and everyone, welcome. My name's Martina Lyons. I'm the Director of Executive Education, Recruitment, and Outreach at Johns Hopkins SAIS. And I'm here to talk to you today about our mid-career programs, master's degrees, and we'll get started right away. Except it looks like, there we go. All right. So Johns Hopkins SAIS is one of 9 divisions of the main Johns Hopkins University, but we are actually located in Washington, D.C., right in the heart of DuPont Circle. And we are a major research institution, but we function very much as a professional school as well. And that's why we find that students come to us, because they know at SAIS they're going to gain not only the knowledge and skills that they need for a successful career in the international policy realm, but also because they're going to be studying with really the leading experts in the fields that they're interested in. And we have a wonderful mix at Hopkins of both practitioners, people who are the policymakers advising governments and industry alike, and of course, tenure-track faculty members. This is just a small sample of some of our faculty members in their recent publications. But another reason why people come to SAIS is because they know they're going to make the connections and develop the network that will really help them advance in their careers. And this is particularly true for mid-career professionals. We have many student organizations at SAIS, and we also have a very robust career services team that helps you to advance your career. This is a photo from a career fair that we hold in the fall that will be a mix of private sector, multilateral, public, and nonprofit sector firms. Because we offer such a wide range of areas of focus at SAIS, we do have students that are interested in all sectors, and our global careers team can really help you hone your interests and identify organizations that you should be targeting in your job or internship search. The career services team also takes students on study treks, career treks around the globe. And these are opportunities for you to actually go to employers wherever they're located and meet with them to learn about opportunities there. And you will be meeting with SAIS alumni who are employed at those organizations. Sometimes these treks are really focused on a region. So it would be, for example, a trek to London, and you would be meeting with a mix of finance sector firms and NGOs, or it might be arranged just on an industry basis. So for example, you might go to Houston and meet with energy sector employers, or to San Francisco to meet with tech sector employers. But also our academic departments organize many study treks throughout the year. And even as a mid-career student at Johns Hopkins SAIS, you have the opportunity to join them on these experiential learning opportunities, which really enhance the whole impact of a master's degree program for you. We do have campuses in 3 locations around the globe. Our main campus is in Washington, D.C. We have campuses in Bologna, Italy, and Nanjing, China. In Bologna, the classes are all taught in English, so you do not need to know Italian. But in China, the classes are taught in Mandarin, so you do need to be a fluent Mandarin speaker for those programs. So the 2 programs that we're going to discuss today for mid-career professionals, the MIPP and the MAGP, are similar in some respects. So the Master of Arts in Global Policy is our executive style program, meaning that it is designed exclusively for working professionals. And it very much keeps working professionals in mind. They recognize in this program that you are working full-time concurrently with pursuing the degree. And accordingly, they really sort of cater to your needs and make everything very easy for you. And accordingly, you're only on campus every other week for just a Friday and Saturday. So you would be there all day Friday and Saturday 1 week, and then you're not back for 2 weeks. And the nice thing about this is that when you're at work, you can focus on work, and when you're at SAIS, you can focus on academics. It does require that you have 7 years of related work experience, and that 7-year mark needs to be reached by the time the program commences. So if you're close at the time of application, that's fine as long as you will reach that 7-year mark by the time you start with us. Now, the Master of International Public Policy also requires the 7 years of related work experience. But this program is offered either full-time or part-time. And with this program, you really are able to sort of reinvent yourself a little bit more. With the executive style MAGP, we do want everybody working in the international space, because part of the value of that program is really the cohort and what everyone is bringing to the table. With the MIPP, we do have a lot of people that are transitioning in their career, and that's totally acceptable. If you pursue this program full-time, it can be completed in as little as 9 months if you start in the fall, or 11 months if you start in the spring, which for us means the very end of January. Starting in the spring is a really, really good option for people who are looking to transition in their careers, because what it does is it allows you the opportunity to actually spend the summer in between the spring semester and the fall semester doing an internship, either in a new field or in a new sector. So that's an option that I really like to share with career changers. This program, the MIPP, can also be pursued part-time over the course of 2 years. So you could continue working full-time, and you could take 2 courses each semester over the course of 4 years, or you could, you have some flexibility in there if you want to take some courses in the summer. So 2 options with that program. For a little closer look at that program, and then again, this is the MIPP, which you can do either full-time or part-time. It is a very flexible curriculum. You are choosing 8 courses that are of most interest to you, and you have essentially full reign of what those 8 courses might be. So you can tailor this program to really suit your individual needs. You have the option of affiliating with one of our areas of focus. So for example, you could focus on strategic studies or Latin American studies. So it can be a policy area or a regional area. And if you were to do that, then you would take at least 3 courses from that area of focus, and the other 5 could be whatever you want. So lots of flexibility, and that's really the takeaway I want you to have from this program. In addition, if you are pursuing this program full-time, you have the option of adding a 5th course each semester in one of the languages that we offer at no additional charge. It's not required that you do language. It's just a really nice perk, if you will, if you're a full-time student in the MIPP program. The demographics of this, this was from last year's class. We don't have our entering class demo sheet ready yet, but you will see that we had 76 start last fall. The average age was 36, and the average years of work experience was 12. Unfortunately, you'll see that it's skewed very heavily male. The reason for this is because we do have a large number of military personnel that pursue this degree because it aligns so well with their careers. And that's both U.S. military and foreign military as well. So about a third of our class is military. Another third are international students coming from all over the globe. And you can see that many, many different fields are represented. Lots, everything from defense and intelligence to banking and finance to media and journalism. Now, shifting gears a little bit, the Master of Arts in Global Policy, and again, this is our program that is executive style when you're only on campus every other week for Friday and Saturday. And this, instead of being on a semester system, is offered on a 10-week module system. And there are 5 of those over the course of 16 months. And you're completing courses actually more than in the MIPP, which only requires 8 courses. This has 13 courses. 9 of them you will take all together in your cohort, and those are designed to give you a very broad overview of everything that impacts the global space, from international economics to global theory to comparative politics, political risk, all sorts of topics. And then 4 will be elective courses that will be based on the academic interests of the cohort. In addition to those classroom requirements, we have 1 application seminar in each of the 5 modules, and those are an opportunity for you to really do a deeper dive into either a regional area or a functional area, and we will bring in guest speakers to assist with that. And then the final component of the MAGP program are 4 required residencies. 3 of them will be in the local DC area, and you will only be required to miss 1 additional day of work for those 3. So when you would be with us anyway on a Friday and Saturday, for those 3, you would also be with us on Thursday. And then the final residency is actually a week long. And this is the longest you'd need to be away from work. And that will be to an international destination. And the cohort will select where they go for that. They've gone to Morocco, the Republic of Georgia, India, Indonesia, lots of fascinating places. And what you'll be doing on that trip is gathering your data and doing your field research and doing interviews to assist with a final capstone project that you present in lieu of a thesis for this program. I'm sorry, guys, I know I'm going really fast, but we're trying so hard to keep to a schedule here. Speaking of schedules, with the MAGP, this just gives you a really brief look at what your weekend would be like. So Friday, all day you're there, you show up, we provide your breakfast and lunch when you're with us every time, just to make life easier for you as a working professional. And you have 2 classes on Fridays and 1 on Saturday. This is a smaller cohort than the MIPP, but you can see that the average age and years of work experience tends to be very similar to the MIPP, but a much more even split male-female. And again, very diverse, people coming from a wide range of industries and sectors. We do have a lot of diplomats that pursue this program while they're serving at their embassies in DC. But the common denominator is that everybody is working in the international space already in some capacity. It might be in global manufacturing. It might be a global journalist. It might be somebody who has served in the military and has served overseas. So that common denominator is the international component. All right, now we're going to quickly get into the application process so we can get to Margaret's presentation and then your questions. So as Brianna alluded to, your past academic performance is important to us, but really for our mid-career programs, we're also really focusing on your professional experience. That is a big factor. Quantitative aptitude helps, but it's not a requirement for either of these programs, nor is prior foreign language experience. But we do like to see that you've had some international exposure, that you've either lived, studied, worked, or volunteered abroad. The application process is very straightforward. We have an online application form, and this is true for both programs, that you'll complete. You'll upload your resume, a statement of purpose. The Global Policy Program also requires a short analytical essay, 2 letters of recommendation. You're welcome to submit 3, but only 2 are required. And to previous questions, we are fine with them both being professional references, unless you've kept in close contact with a faculty member. And it may be that in your situation, it's better for you to have just 2 professional references. Ultimately, we need official transcripts from all institutions where you've taken 3 or more courses. If you have your own copies of your transcripts, you can upload those to your application, and we will evaluate your application based on that. But should you be admitted, we will ultimately need official transcripts. We do not require the GRE or GMAT. It's entirely optional. What is not optional, if you are a non-native English speaker, is that we do require either TOEFL or IELTS. And then all applicants to our mid-career programs are required to do an interview. These can be done virtually or in person if in a post-COVID era. But they are a really critical component of the application process for us. And this is really as much for you as it is for us, because it allows you the opportunity to speak with a current student or recent alum in that particular program, so you can ask questions that you may have. And we just feel this is really a great sort of give and take and a way for you to learn more about us. We will be opening up our applications for 2021 in August. Our MIPP program does offer a spring semester start, which would be at the end of January. So you would want to apply by October 15th for that program. And then both the MIPP and MAGP will be accepting applications in August for fall of 2021. We have an early notification period. Deadline is November 1st. The benefit of applying early is that you find out sooner whether or not you've been admitted. You would find out in late December. The regular decision period, we will accept applications from August until February, and you will find out in mid-March. Wow, I got through that in record time. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Margaret from Syracuse now and look forward to answering your questions. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Margaret Lane. Can everyone hear me okay? I hope. Yes, we can. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. So my name is Margaret Lane. I'm the Assistant Director of Executive Education at the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. And I'd like to talk with you today about our Executive Masters in International Relations program. Basically, we are the oldest school of citizenship and public affairs in the United States. And we were founded in 1924 by George Maxwell. And he was very kind of a really interesting visionary at that time, who decided that he wanted to establish a school of American citizenship. But he also realized the importance of multidisciplinary study. He realized that no problem was just single-focused. And so he had this brilliant idea to combine all the schools of social sciences and put them all under one roof so that they could engage in multidisciplinary research, study, and tackle some of the most critical and emerging issues, even back in 1924. And it really, his vision really informs the way that we function and the way that we're organized even today. As he developed the school, he also realized the importance of having professional degree programs as well, so that practitioners in government could go into government and effectively manage their operations as well as to affect positive change. And so that is our history, and it really informs everything I'm going to talk to you about today. In the U.S. News and World reports, we've ranked #1 in public administration almost every year since the rankings began. But we're very well known in international relations as well. And our strengths are really in public management and leadership, nonprofit management, public finance, public policy analysis. You can see all the ways in which we're ranked rather highly in that ranking with U.S. News and World Report. We also, as I mentioned, have 2 professional degree programs, one in international relations and the other one in public administration. I think, one of the really interesting things, I think one of the things that makes us very distinctive as compared to a number of other schools is the fact that we are one school of social sciences under one roof, and therefore have ourselves organized around institutes and research centers. And these are in the areas like Autonomous Systems Policy Institute, which is our newest institute. We also have institutes in policy research, in public health, and one of our very well-known institutes, especially for our IR students, the Moynihan Institute of Global Affairs. And what happens in these institutes is that we have faculty members from all the social science disciplines working on collaborative research projects. People, who are sociologists, historians, public administrators, economists, all working collaboratively on research. And one of the interesting ideas is that we also will engage students in these research projects as well, which is a really good opportunity for our students to be able to engage in this kind of cutting edge research. In education, where the EMIR and the EMPA reside, we have a dedicated staff of people that work very exclusively with executive students. While you're in classes with MPAs, MAIRs, as well as executive students, we have a staff of people that really support executive students as they go through the program. Many people haven't been in the classroom in a very long period of time. A lot of our students are international and actually haven't studied in the United States ever. So we want to be sure to provide people with the kind of resources and the support that you may need to go through the program effectively. We have just as we've talked about earlier, we require 7 years of professional experience as well. Frankly, the class this year as well as last year had an average of about 15 years, but 7 is our minimum. We have the average age this year is about 34. Last year it was about 32. We have very diverse population, pride ourselves in the number of countries that are represented in our student body. This year we have about 18 to 20 countries represented. And the program is very flexible. That's what we aim to do, especially on the executive side. Students can complete the program in 1 calendar year. If they want to go through the program in a very accelerated way. And then it's also done part-time at your own pace, depending on your circumstances. And I'll talk about this in a minute, but we also have add-on certificates of advanced studies where you can get additional credentials in the context of that 30 credits required for the degree. So the EMIR is 30 credits, 10 courses. Each of them are 3 credits. There are 3 courses that we, and in an effort to really be, I think, as flexible as we can, we don't overwhelm people with lots of core courses. So we have 3 core courses. You can take either comparative foreign policy or governance and global civil society as 1 core. You can take them both, but only 1 is required. The managerial leadership course, which is a very reflective course, it is theory into practice. So you're really learning the theory of leadership, but you're also applying it to your very extensive experience that you've had so far, and hopefully learn how to manage better, how to lead better, and how to affect change, working in teams, working in environments where we all do now to affect positive change in our organizations. Then we have a capstone project, which is a culminating course that would basically pull together everything you've learned in the 10 courses and try to apply that either to something you're doing in your current career or something that you aspire to do in a future career. So the hope is that this is a very a very applied degree, and we're hoping that you can walk away with filling gaps in knowledge. We know that all of you are coming to the degree with vast experience, so we try to be we try not to be very prescriptive at all. We try to let you develop a program of study that allows you to fill the gaps that you need to fill, and then walk out of the degree program fully equipped to go to the next position or to advance within your own organization. We have 2 locations where we offer the degree. One is in Syracuse on campus, and then we have a facility in a campus in Washington, D.C. And we're one of the, I think one of the first IR degrees to affiliate with a think tank. So we're affiliated with the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington, D.C. You can work side by side with the people in the think tank, as well as with our full-time faculty members who also teach in the class. So you have that benefit in that in the classes at CSIS to take advantage of not only what happens in DC, but also to take advantage of the cutting edge research and the kinds of things that are happening at CSIS. We have a number of career tracks and areas of study where you can actually specialize your study. Students can do 1 or 2 of the career tracks. The public diplomacy track, as you'll notice on the slide, is only offered in the DC campus right now. We expect that to be offered on campus as well, probably next fall, as a matter of fact, because we have a new set of programs that we're now affiliating with our Newhouse School of Public Communications. But the career tracks are generally, as one would expect, foreign policy, global development policy, global markets, security and intelligence, and then in our Syracuse campus, negotiation and conflict resolution as well. Admissions criteria, very similar. One must have a bachelor's degree. You have to have at least 7 years of professional experience. We actually have rolling admissions in the program, so we do have priority deadlines. So in the fall, we have a deadline of about July 1st, and then in the spring, about November 1st. But we are actually quite flexible in reading applications, so we try very, very hard to make sure that you can come to the program when you want. So we will admit people throughout the year, fall, spring, and even summer. There's an online application, a $75 application fee. We also require transcripts, a personal statement talking about what you would find of value for the degree. We're looking for fit in that statement. We're looking to make sure what you're interested in is something that we actually can provide. We also are looking to see how you have functioned as a leader in your organizations up until this time. And we'll look at a resume and then 2 letters of recommendation. We do not require the GRE, and international students are required, if they haven't been educated in the United States, to take a TOEFL or IELTS test. And we're looking for about a 92, 93 on that test, actually. Tuition costs, students are charged on a per credit basis. Estimated 2020 tuition is about $16.85 a credit. And then total tuition charges for the full master's program would be about $50,550. We do provide tuition assistance. So we will actually talk with you about what your needs are for financial assistance and try to get you some reduction in tuition if it's possible. Those are always contingent on our dean's office providing that. So those are done on a 1-by-1 basis. But there are financial aid and scholarships available. Many people will have employer tuition reimbursement. And then there are other kinds of scholarships that we have within SU that we could also provide for you. This is what our dean, David Van Slyke, has often said about our students. I think one of the biggest takeaways, honestly, is the flexibility of the degree that we offer, the fact that it's only 30 credits and that you can do it in a very short period of time, and that you'll find that the kind of coursework that you have is very skills-based, experience-based curriculum, designed really, again, to kind of shape your own, so you can shape your own program and walk out the door with exactly what you're looking for. Our faculty have real-world policy experience that they bring right to the classroom. They're recognized, expertly in the areas of public affairs and foreign policy. There's really groundbreaking research that you can get involved with while you're here, And of course, you're working in a very interdisciplinary research area. So we're hoping that some of you will think about the Maxwell School when you consider your executive IR degree. So that is my presentation, and I will turn it over so we can answer questions.
All right, great. So we will get into the Q&A portion now, and I will read out the questions that you all put in the chat box, and Margaret or Martina, feel free to answer the question. The first is, and I think we've answered it, is are official transcripts for completed programs or any university level courses taken? So what constitutes as an official transcript for a mid-career program?
I'll just jump in. So at SAIS, we need official transcripts for any university where you have taken 3 or more courses.
And that would be the same for Syracuse University as well.
Okay, great. And we've had multiple questions now about students that may not necessarily have experience in IR or public affairs moving into this field. How can a student highlight their professional experience in the past and why they would be pivoting into this program?
So I can talk about this from Maxwell's perspective. That's something that is really common among our student population, people who are shifting, pivoting into a new area. And so what we're looking for in a candidate is the rationale for why they're doing that, and then a really good examination of their leadership qualities, how they've led in the past, how they've affected change in the past, and how they anticipate that this degree would help them to move into a new sector, a new area. And then the degree would help them to kind of make change in that new environment.
For SAIS, it's very similar in terms of making a case in your application for why you should be admitted without prior IR experience. Talk about where your interest stemmed from. If you haven't worked, studied, or lived abroad, why are you interested in a global career? And to the extent that you can really demonstrate that you have a clear rationale for why you want to pursue IR and how our degree is going to help you with your goals, you'll be just fine. But I would encourage you to consider a program that would allow you to do an internship either concurrently or in the summer, because to really launch your career in the IR space, having a degree is super helpful, but having some experience in the space is going to help you as well. So do look to get some internship experience.
Okay, thank you. And now moving into the recommendation portion. Many students may have supervisors who don't have great English skills or writing skills. So how will the quality of the recommendation letter reflect poorly on the application? Should a recommendation come from someone who isn't able to write well in English or elaborate why the student is a great candidate?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Margaret. Sorry.
Okay. Well, we're looking at, really your application in its totality. So we're looking at letters of recommendation that really talk about, again, your leadership qualities, where you've made a difference. I think if the English of the recommender is not particularly exemplary, we certainly would look at the content of that letter. But again, we're looking at the whole application. And while those letters are very important for us, we're looking at your personal statement in the context of the letters of recommendation and your transcripts to some degree as well.
Yep, nothing more to add. That's for us.
Okay, and one question actually that is going to be very important, especially moving into the fall and spring admissions, is the question about COVID. So are there any changes currently for any of your mid-career programs for the upcoming fall 2020 and spring 2021? Or is there any arrangement planned so far that is to public knowledge regarding online classes for your programs?
I can start. So at SAIS, we are going to be moving to on-campus classes for the fall. However, there will be a lot of safety precautions in place. And we are also going to be offering all of our courses virtually so that students who are not comfortable, maybe are immunocompromised, or international students who are unable to make it to the United States because of COVID will be able to join those classes virtually. But we do anticipate on-campus courses in the fall. Hopefully, COVID will be a thing of the past. In the spring, we can resume just normal operations, but we will, again, be very careful to heed. And of course, Johns Hopkins has, we're so fortunate in that we have, the esteemed medical school and Bloomberg School of Public Health guiding us to ensure the safety of all of our students, staff, and faculty.
Yep, in this exact same situation at Syracuse as well. We will be starting in person on campus in the fall. Same thing with our DC campus, but with lots of safety precautions, and everything will be offered both in the classroom as well as online, at least for the fall. And then to some extent, as we kind of launch into this new area, really putting a lot of our work online so that people feel most comfortable in a format that works for them.
All right, thank you. One question we have is, and this is maybe a general question, how many programs would a typical student, a typical student be applying for when they're looking for a mid-career degree?
That might be a question for you to take.
You're right. Again, there is no right number. It really is you doing your research and figuring out what you want from the degree, from the program, and where you would be headed afterwards, and making an honest self-assessment of it. If there are 3 programs that fit those descriptions and you have the time and the money to do so, and you've, again, done all the financial aid research and all that, feel free to apply to 3. Feel free to apply to 5. There is no right number, again. But most students often at least end up applying to 3 schools on average, at the very least. And this is actually a question for you both again. Can both of your programs be pursued online? What are the online components, if you could both reiterate, for both of your executive education programs?
We can actually provide most of our coursework online as a result of COVID. Now we do have an online executive master's in public administration, and there are 10 courses in that degree, many of which are also part of our IR curriculum. So you can take some classes in that program as well. But the rest of them, we plan to deliver more online opportunities as we go forward. But at the moment, you could probably do a good blend of both online and on-campus coursework. At the moment, we could not do the entire degree online, I'm afraid.
And at SAIS, we do have 2 fully online degree programs that are just launching this fall, the Master of Arts in Sustainable Energy and the Master of Arts in Global Risk. They're not mid-career programs, so they're open to all, but those are both fully online. In terms of our MIPP and MAGP, as Margaret mentioned, because of COVID, we now know that we can easily offer these programs virtually and online. So my estimation is that probably in the very near future, we will be offering a version of one of these programs online as well. But for the present time, those are both on-campus courses of study.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, and so we will allow for a couple more questions in the meantime. I will answer some of the questions that you will have that are general questions. For example, how early a student can take the GREs. For any program that you're interested in, you can take the GREs as early as you would like. We recommend that obviously you study and take your time, because many schools may look at that as an important component of your application. So you want to make sure you're again providing your best foot forward, the best score that you possibly can. And we will be providing the slides if you want at the end of the presentation. I will put up a contact us slide fairly shortly. Actually, I can put it up now, and you can reach out to any of us to ask. I will be more than happy actually to send you all the slides, should you want them. for both of you, again, could you reiterate if your programs conduct interviews during the application process? I know, Martina, one of your programs does. Margaret, I don't believe your programs do, but again, can you both reiterate for our audience?
Sure, we do not require interviews, although, as Martina mentioned, it's a helpful way for us to get to know you better and for you to have a chance to know us better and to talk with students and faculty. So it certainly would be something we would be open to allowing. We just don't require it. I think it's a great idea. We may have to rethink this actually, but for now, it's not required.
But we do require it, and we, for both our MIPP and our MAGP program. It's not required for some of our other master's degrees, but for the mid-career programs it is, because the cohort is such an important component of the programs, and we really do strive to have a good mix.
Okay, great. And lastly, and this may be a question for me to answer, is there a popular search engine or website to search for more programs? Yes, so the AppSio website is a great place for you all to start to look at some of the programs that our schools offer. So feel free to head over to our website. We list all of our members and affiliate members and their programs on there. We also feature resources on the events that our schools offer as well as we offer. We have an upcoming online graduate school fair where you can all connect with many of our schools and ask more personal questions about their programs and their mid-career programs, their flexibility, and so forth. Fellowships and scholarships page, as well as a careers and international career guide. But with that, I will end, unless there's any burning questions at the moment, which I don't see. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Martina, for talking to all of us and helping us learn more about your programs. Should any of you need anything, feel free to reach out to us. We are more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. But thank you both for joining us. Thank you all for joining us as well. Margaret, Martina, any last words?
Thank you so much to everybody who joined us, and Brianna for organizing this. And do not hesitate to reach out. And I'm going to just type my personal direct email address into the chat box now. If you want to bypass SCI admissions and come right to me, you're welcome to.
And I would also like to thank everyone for coming and Brianna for organizing this and co-presenting with Martina. It's been a real pleasure. So I look forward to hopefully hearing from many of you. Always open for questions and would love to chat more. So thanks again for being here. And thank you, Brianna.
No, thank you both for joining, and thank you all again in the audience for coming and hearing us speak for about an hour. Again, reach out if you have any questions. We are here to help you and make the process as easy as possible. But with that, we will end the webinar. Thank you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a good rest of your Wednesday. Thank you, everybody. Hope to hear from you all soon. Bye-bye.